You are now listening to the Do It Movement podcast, where we share our experiences in real estate investing and encourage you to take action. You don't want to miss what we have in store today, so let's welcome our host, Martine Richardson, and our co-host, Lori Eubanks.
What's up today, Do It Movement listeners? This is your host, Martine Richardson, your buy and hold coach, and my co-host, Lori Eubanks. How are you doing today, Lori?
Hey girl, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing amazing. We are excited about this episode. I know you see someone else on. We have the Byron Sellers. How are you doing today, Byron?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So I'm really excited, guys, because this podcast changed so many people's lives. We love to give actionable content so that people can use what we're saying and actually change their lives. Because that's the point of it. And holding real estate changed me and Laura's lives. And that's why we come here to teach you guys how you can do it so that you can change your life and your family's life. But today we're here with the mobile home elite investor that does all things mobile home. And let's just find out more about him. So can you tell me, how did you get into mobile home investing? Why was this your path? And just share your journey with us.
Yeah, awesome. Yes. So I honestly got into it by accident. You know, I had wanted to get into real estate around 2014, and I started kind of diving in, just going on like Redfin, Zillow, looking for properties, talking to friends who had already done some real estate. And I remember actually coming across a mobile home in about 2015. And the only person in my family who had done real estate was actually my uncle. And I sent him, I was like, hey, listen, this thing is $7,000. I may be able to buy this and flip it. He's like, that's terrible. Don't ever invest into a mobile home. So I listened to him. We fast forward. I got very close to getting a multifamily property in 2017, and it was a two-unit duplex, and I think it was like 179. I didn't really have to put too much into it, and we went to do the final inspection. I was going to close on March 3rd, and when I went to go do the inspection on the 2nd, the basement had flooded from a bad rainstorm we had in Chicago at the time. And so I'm just like, okay, all right, they want to go back to the drawing board. I go back to work the next day, March 3rd, I was fired. So I had been building up my credit, everything for this moment, and it was just like real estate to me felt like it got just literally taken from up under me. So I didn't know what I was going to do. So by this time I started investing in personal development. I knew I had to get my mind right before I got my money right. I decided I'm never getting fired again. I'm going to figure this thing out. And so I kind of wanted to go into personal development coaching, but I tell people God had a different plan for me. I still want to do real estate. So I remember going to NACA meetings and I was still looking into it, but I'm like, it's going to take me a long time until I get into it. And I was listening to different podcasts, and a podcast came on bigger podcasts about a mobile home investing. And the lady was talking about how she had $5,000 mobile homes. And I'm just like, really? Okay. And I was driving Lyft while I was doing this because I had to make some money. And at the time, my passengers was like, hey, can you turn that off? We want to listen to some music. Because I used to listen to podcasts while my passengers in the back. I'm like, okay. So I sent it to, at the time, with girlfriend and boyfriend, sent it to my current wife, Charnice. And I'm just like, hey, babe, listen to this. Check this out. And when I sent it to her, when I got home, I never seen her excited. She's like, I know you want to do multifamily. I know you want to buy these buildings, but I think we can do this. And when I saw that, I'm just like, hey, listen, I think, okay, I got a partner in this. And the reason why it meant so much, because just a month before that, my car had got repoed, right? And Charnice was the one that gave me the money to get my car out. And I was like, how can I repay her? So with that, she was like, she wanted to do this. In my mind, I was like, I think this can not only can repay her, but this may be our entry into mobile homes. And we literally just went full steam ahead after that.
I see why she a wife. She was fully invested. I love it. I love it.
Partner, right? You're the
power of a partner is everything. Cause I'll just share something with you, Byron. Lori and I, we have never had a company together. But we have done a lot of business, deals, strategizing, mindset, everything. It's this is my yin to my yang here.
I love it.
And so just hearing you say how she was such a pivotal part of your success, and knowing that you had someone that was, rooting for you, that had your best interest at heart. That means so much. And I think a lot of people should, if they have that in their lives, that you should really tap into it. Because not only having the belief in yourself, but someone else having the belief in you is huge, So tell us, how were you able to fund these deals? Because let me let you know, my car got repossessed before too. And that's how I got into real estate, because I figured if I could just make enough money to get it back, So how were you able to fund these deals that you were buying or hearing about?
Yeah, so honestly, and I don't encourage this because we tell people our story, but we took out a high interest loan with Lending Club. And since I was driving Lyft, I was able to show the income that I was making from there. And Charnice had good credit. My credit was bad at the time. Like I said, car repo, literally credit just took a dive. And so with the income from Lyft and then Charnice's credit at the time, we just applied. We just like, okay, what do we got to lose? And we were able to take out $10,000 at like 24%. And that's all we needed. That's all we needed. And we found 2 mobile homes. It took us like 45 days to find. We saw a lot of mobile homes, but we end up, I tell people, like, God directed us from not getting bad deals, but we found 2 mobile homes. And at the time, I think they were listing it for $5,000 and another one was $1,500. And he was like, make me an offer. And Charnice was like, offer him $4,000. And I was like, $4,000? You want to you think? She's like, just offer him $4,000. So I should have listened to her. I was like, how about $4,300? He's like, sold. I was like, okay. and so, exactly. I should have listened to it, and then 300. And so that 10K covered that. And then we put 3,000 into another one and into that deal. And, that first deal, we ended up making, $19,500 because we sold one for $9,500. We sold the other one for $10,000. It only took a little bit over 45 days for both. And that was from there, we kept paying our monthly bill on it, but we just started rinsing and repeating.
That's amazing. I love that story. I mean, so how was it scary? Like, were you second guessing because you had the advice not to do it? Was that in the back of your mind when you just decided to jump in?
No, at that point, I had lost so much. I was like, something got to work, right? Before that, I tried a lot of stuff. I tried MLMs. I was going to the meetings, getting excited and calling all my family members, trying to enroll them. That didn't work. I tried a digital marketing business at the time. That didn't work. I was just trying different things. And so, even trying to be a life coach at the time. And think about it. I'm broke. How am I going to coach somebody in life when I ain't got nothing for myself, right? And so to me, this was like, this has to work because real estate is so tangible. I was just like, I'm just going to follow these steps. I know this is going to work. And so it wasn't scary. It was really adventurous. And I felt a sense of ownership because we just bought 2 properties, $4,300. Like, I don't know nowhere, especially living in Chicago at the time. It was like I can't buy nothing for this amount. And so that sense of ownership, it was just like, the least I can do is just, sell this for additional $1,000 to make a profit. So it was exciting. I learned a lot. And real quick, funny story about that was my handyman lived in East Chicago, and that's right in Indiana. And at the time we're living on the south side of Chicago, our property was about an hour and 50 minutes away from us, northwest of us. He didn't have a car. And for the prices that we had, I would literally have to pick him up for the project, take him to the project, be there all day, 3-4 days a week, and he would dictate with me what days he was going to work. So I learned a lot from those projects, and literally those 2 projects helped me learn ins and outs of mobile home investing just from those 2 projects.
So you mentioned earlier, and I was going to save this question, but this is just so important because I don't think people realize how important mindset is into doing any type of business. I like to always tell people that I can tell you everything on what to do, but what I do is 80% mindset. So if your mindset isn't where it needs to be, it doesn't matter. I could write it out, give you the book, I could have a recording for you. It won't work if your mind isn't where it needs to be. So what are some mindset things that you did? Because, you said that you were working to be a life coach. So your mindset had to be strong, whether your reality wasn't where you wanted to be or not. But your mindset had to be strong. So what are some things that you did to help strengthen your mindset?
Yeah, no. So, first I kind of dived in the first thing I did was I listened to a lot of different motivational speeches YouTube, right? I was listening to Les Brown, to Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins. That was my first, should I say, experience of really kind of getting tapped in. My father actually introduced me to some CDs from Earl Nightingale. And that was the first time I really kind of I was like, wow, this is different. Positivity, think positive, think think if I think it, I can it was almost like foreign to me, because before that, me and my friends, we just BS'd around, talked about each other. It's a lot of just negative energy, right? I'm in negative work environments. And so that kind of sparked it. So the more and more I listened, it was just like, I remember coming up my own slogan, positivity equals longevity. This is what I always tell people, positivity equals longevity. And I really started kind of those mantras. And then once being in that life coach program, I got a life coach. And so it challenged me a lot of things to make me really be uncomfortable. And so in those uncomfortable moments, it really, every time they said it, to change your breakthrough will be, just when things are uncomfortable. And I really didn't understand that, but having not only my coach going through that program, it started creating shifts in me. And those shifts would say, listen, the work you do now is building for the future, right? A lot of things, every time that I got in my head and I was overthinking, or, everything would be okay, is this an interpretation, or is this a fact? And so little tools like that will allow me to just remain present and focus on being present to what I'll be working on. And so every day I would just be so optimistic. I would be just in my positive zone, that I knew that the work, if I continued, the minute I gave up, the minute things wouldn't work. And so that really helped me, because like you said, I think if I didn't have that, then my mindset, I'd be anxious. I would be feeling defeated. I would let life get to me. But those tools helped me throughout that process to not only remain optimistic, but it helped me to be present on what I was doing and focus, because I sacrificed a lot. That was a hard thing. Sacrificing television. I used to love video games, sacrificing people at that time who didn't serve me. And again, I loved them, but those conversations didn't serve me. I felt like a loner, but I knew I had to. Every successful person that I read about, I knew they had to go through a journey to get to where they was. So I just embraced the journey. I knew it was, I didn't care if it took 2 years. I knew this was part of it, and I just embraced it. I literally embraced it.
That sink or swim, it'll get you. It's hard, and then when you make it and you're actually in a safe point, it's hard to get out of the mental of the sink or swim. So I have to ask you, do you work as hard today as you did when you first got started?
Yeah, I still got the grind in me. It's funny because I had an opportunity as a dad. My daughter just turned 1. So I'll say for the first year, I was able to really scale back and focus on the family. And that was an adjustment. Because again, listen to Eric, I was grind. And so those all-nighters, just having ideas, staying up all night, I used to love just working and working. But now, it's a balance. So no, I don't work as hard, but I'm still driven, and, it's about working smarter, not harder. I think that especially nowadays, I kind of got out of I got to grind, and just really finding the opportunities that, when they come about, I can take advantage of, and they produce a lot, versus kind of just in that super grind mode.
Right. I think you eventually get to a point, and you can tell me if you agree with this or not, that you can kind of turn it on and turn it off. Because it's I can grind if I want to, but I don't really need to at the moment. Because this is what you worked hard for. You worked hard so you can spend time with your family, so that you can have those moments with your daughter and your wife. So it's kind of a byproduct of all of this grinding is that, I still got it in me, but I don't necessarily have to do it all the time. So I can definitely relate to that as well.
Absolutely.
So earlier, you mentioned that you had gotten these 2 mobile homes that you saw, and you made this offer on them. What was the source of finding those deals?
Yeah, so my wife actually found those on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is one of the largest off-market platforms for manufactured homes. Most people, when they have their mobile home, they don't listen with realtors, right? Unless you listen with a mobile home broker, but they're going right to Facebook. And whether it's brokers, wholesalers, they all use that tool. So that was one of the places that we actually found, that found a great deal. And so I always encourage people to go right to Facebook Marketplace, type in mobile homes or manufactured homes, and you'll be able to see what's in your area for sale.
I know there's a lot of people that wonder, well, how do you manage it? So when you jumped in, did you manage it yourself?
Yeah, so at first we did. We really did. And it was kind of different because, again, learned a lot. They were far, right? They were, again, you're talking like an hour and a half, whereas, most times you get properties less than 30 minutes from you, right? It can be up the block, certain area, depending on what area you're investing in. And so, yeah, we definitely had the management. You had the maintenance, right? Keep the grass cut. So I remember it was times where I would borrow my friend's lawnmower and drive. And I had a Jeep Patriot. And I would be driving hour and a half with a lawnmower, gassy, grass-smelling lawnmower in the back. My windows down, allergies going crazy. But those are the sacrifices I had to make. So, yeah, at the beginning, we were managing our properties.
So was your exit strategy for these properties mainly to flip them, or do you typically keep them or like make ongoing cash flow from these? What's typically the exit strategy when you're doing a mobile home?
Yeah, so when we first started, we were just fixing and flipping it. That's what we focused on, to build up capital, and it really worked. And then we were able to start doing seller finance. So the reason why we're doing seller finance, because a lot of communities didn't necessarily want renters in their community because, for example, let's say something happens. Again, we're an hour and a half out. A lot of times inside of a mobile home community, the tenant will go to the park manager and say, well, hey, I got this going on. My landlord's not picking up. Can you do this? So a lot of times parks don't necessarily want that headache of having renters. And sometimes renters don't really take care of the property, depending on, where you are. And so we did a few deals with seller financing. We'll put them just like a car. We'll put them, they pay, $300-$500 a month, and it'll be a 60-month terms. Those, a lot of times we're getting mobile homes for less than $5K, putting $3K in it. But now over, a course of time, it's talking $30,000 plus because we're able to, again, turn that asset into something that we can get monthly cash flow. But what we start noticing, though, and I always encourage people, you have to be aware of what is called lot rent. So if you're doing it inside of a mobile home community, there is a HOA, right? It's like called lot rent. So that's a monthly fee that every single house pays a month for the mobile home being on the property. And so whenever a mobile home either gets bought out, or a lot of times mobile home parks are doing like yearly increases, so it could be 5 to 10%. I've seen some higher. Sometimes that can affect your tenant. So, for example, if your tenant is paying, $400 a month for the asset, but the lot rent goes from $500 to $650, that extra $150 can a lot of times, start to put a strain. What we were blessed to do is, when tax season, at the second year mark, when tax season rolled around, we'll let some of our tenants say, hey, listen, when you get your tax returns, you can cash us out, because we had already made our profits back, right? And so we didn't get too greedy on it. So I kind of stopped doing the seller financing inside of mobile home parks. And then when we were able to start making the best investments that we ever made was investing in mobile home parks, meaning like we started to actually go for park ownership. And that cash flow was now, again, we dictate, I'll tell you, we're the real landlords, because now we're able to get monthly from every single tenant that's in a community. So that was the best investment. And that was always the long-term goal for us, because we knew that monthly cash flow would definitely, again, take care of us for life.
Right. This is the true definition of landlord. You own the land.
Yes.
So that's amazing. I have a follow-up question about that. And I know, Lori, you probably have another question too. But so when you were selling it under seller financing, right? How were you getting your initial capital back? Was that like their down payment, or like did it come over time? How did that look?
Yeah, so what we would do, we would always do a non-refundable move-in fee. Mm-hmm. Depending on whatever what we'll normally do, like 10% of whatever so for example, if it's $30K, we'll do 10%. They'll put $3K down. And then over time, normally I would say it would take us on the long end 14 months to normally recoup our investment, because again, we weren't paying more than $5,000 for these houses in that particular market. We literally stayed in like 2 communities, and we would get homes for either free, $500, $1,000. Like we wouldn't pay that much money for these, and so again, we were getting our investments back within months, and after that, it was all profit. So that's what really helped us, on those deals.
That's amazing. I wanted to ask you about how long someone stays into a mobile home. Is it vacancy matters. So as landlord, you don't want to spend, renovations every couple years. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so national average is 5 years. From what we experience, I would say honestly, I think most of the tenants that we have are still living in there. We only had one eviction, and the park actually evicted them. We didn't, and I ain't gonna lie, that was clutch because we were about to set up the eviction, but they weren't paying us or the park. And in the mobile home community, if you don't pay, this is the craziest thing about owning a mobile home park. If the tenant doesn't pay, and let's say they even own their own home, if they don't have the money to move the home out, you take possession of the home. And so that's what ended up happening. But since I was the owner of the home, I got possession back. The landlord evicted them, and I was able to just sell the home off. So yeah, it's kind of like, I tell it's a dirty game, but yeah, that's something that you see a lot. What's happening a lot, unfortunately, with these high rates and people increasing, and people are losing their home, unfortunately. So yeah, but I mean that's how we did that.
So because I'm really interested in this, I've never invested in a mobile home before, but this is just so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So if the person isn't paying you, since this is a mobile home, are we going through the court eviction process, or are you just trying to get your personal property back? What exactly are you doing if you're owning the actual home? And I guess versus you own, like, being the park owner now, because now you are like the landlord. Are those processes different to evict people?
So as long as contracts, right? So for example, if you have them on a leasing agreement, a regular leasing agreement, or a leasing agreement with the option to purchase, long as you have them under those terms and you're fully documenting just like you would do as owning a single family home or apartment complex, 5, 10 day, 50, and you have that document, you go through the regular legal system with a regular eviction.
Because I thought, I don't know much about mobile homes, but I thought since mobile homes were considered, I don't know what it's called in Chicago or wherever you live now, but in Virginia, for cars, we have the Department of Motor Vehicles, and I thought they considered mobile homes one of those, personal property. So I just was curious, do you just call the police and kick them out? What's that look like?
So that's the thing. Since, like I said, that the leasing agreement is what really upholds it, right? Like, for example, if you didn't have that, then it'll be almost like a car repo, right? Like, just hey. But since, again, in Illinois, at the time when we were living in Illinois, we live in Florida now, and it's a little bit even more stricter. If you have that leasing agreement, that is what you can end up taking them. But you have to make sure you document, just like you have to document everything to be able to build that case to be able to do that eviction.
So you're in Florida now, and you hear tons of chatter out there just about insurance, and I guess that's the biggest part. Is they're saying that's the cash flow killer, is the insurance. How does that work on parks?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm sorry, about on parks?
Yeah, just in general, are you getting insurance for the whole park, or do they individually get their own, coverage?
Yeah, so two ways, right? So you definitely are getting insurance on the entire community. So really, most of that insurance covers, whether it's tree damage, whether it's you have septic or well, most of the land damage. Then you have your residents, make sure your residents get renter's insurance, or they can actually, there's actual homeowners insurance, mobile home homeowners insurance as well. So most times you make sure a requirement that if they're renting or if they are owning, that they have this, so that way it covers their home. Because as the owner, God forbid, let's say a tree falls onto their home, it's really their responsibility to get that insurance. So now not only they can get the check, but then the insurance that I have covers my land, right? So, again, I can now file to help somebody come out and get the tree out of there, things like that. So yeah, that's how the insurance works. But we don't have any mobile home parks in Florida. I do know a lot of insurance companies have pulled out of Florida because of the natural disasters for insurance. So there really is kind of like a monopoly right now going on for a few insurance companies and so their rates are pretty high out here. But, kind of just throughout the country, there are a lot of whoever insures your car, most of the times they have manufactured homes, whether it's Progressive, State Farm. You have certain companies that specifically insure just for manufactured homes, but you can definitely, but a lot of companies down here in Florida have pulled out just due to, especially which just happened, you have a lot of flooding out here just due to the hurricane. So, we are seeing that impact down here in Florida.
Well, I want to say thank you for sharing about these mobile homes and mobile home parks. I hear how this is a recession-proof business. So it's refreshing to hear someone that is doing it, that's willing to share in case people are interested in getting in that type of investing. So I have a question for you. What is an actionable step that you can give someone that's listening to this podcast that is interested in mobile home investing?
Yes, for sure. So the one thing I would say, I think most of your audience, like you said, is buying and hold. And I would assume you have a good mix of new investors and seasoned investors. So this one, I want to give a good one because I think this is where you can truly, truly maximize. One thing most investors overlook is manufactured homes that actually comes with his own land, right? Like most realtors, they don't want to sell those because you think about it. If the single family homes are selling for $350 and up, and this manufactured home with the land is only $120, it's like, okay, like the commission doesn't really make sense. But here's the thing. I love the fact that your podcast is about buy and hold. So I want to give your listeners some amazing game. Do not overlook the mobile homes that come with the land. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. For one, if you invest in single family homes, look into a manufactured home with the land because that asset is going to be cheaper. The second thing about it is you can almost get this, if it's a double wide, you can get the same amount of square foot as if you were going to get a single family home, but the renovations will be more affordable. Thirdly, now you can actually get market rent, the same amount of rent that you'll get for that single family home based on the square footage and based on the bedrooms. So for example, if a 3-bedroom, 2-bath single family home is renting for, I'm going to say $2,500 in your area, that same manufactured home will rent the same. So now you're getting a more affordable asset. You have fully control because you're not investing inside of a mobile home park, and you're able to get that same amount of market rent for a cheaper cost. And so a lot of times I tell investors, like, listen, if you're going to put that same amount, look into a manufactured home. It won't blow away, right? It's not. I mean, these homes are built to, wind zones, and you'll be able to have a more affordable rehab. For example, we have a project now, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We're going to be all in. I mean, full gut, $35K. Sometimes like a whole kitchen is there, right? It depends on the single family home. So I tell people, don't overlook those because those are sitting on the MLS. You make a great offer. Somebody's looking to that. You could be in there less, and then you have control over it. So now you have this asset that if you want to hold, imagine having, again, when you compare and contrast the cost for a single family home versus a manufactured home, it's like, I tell people it's a no-brainer. So for your listeners, if you all doing buy and hold, begin looking at manufactured homes, contact a realtor. If you have access to the MLS, hey, listen, this may not be up their wheelhouse, but I'll give you all a gem. Go on Zillow. Then what I want you to do is go on Sold. You would set the filter for manufactured homes. And always put the acreage to at least like 0.5, because then that's when you'll be able to tell the manufactured home, by itself, or at least 1 acre. That will let you see who home sold. Go on there. You'll be able to see what realtors sold the home. You can start contacting them, let them know, hey, this is what I'm looking for, and that's how you begin the conversations.
Straight fire! You giving people some good stuff because, like, I don't know how many deals I overlooked simply because I didn't even know how to start when it was a manufactured home. I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I know how to exit when it's attached to the ground. Yeah. But if it's not, I'm a little iffy here. I don't know if I'm willing to take these type of risks. So that's a gem.
I was always worried because I didn't know how to value, how do I comp it, it was just totally foreign. So thank you.
Anytime, like literally even the comps, like you'll be able to, if you're using PropStream, PropWire, and it'll show you like the comps with on manufactured homes. Zillow will even show you the nearby comps just on manufactured homes. And so, again, like Yeah, it's funny. I just got a deal today. Is they're asking 120. The ARV is 230. They're saying the rehab is about 40. And I'm just like, okay, we may go ahead and make offer 90. And if I'm all in 35 and the ARV is 230, we can still go put it on the market for 215. And so it's still some good margins on it.
I hope people don't overlook what you just said. You said it was on the market, I believe, for 120 or something like that,
Yeah.
right? But you're making an offer for 90. Guys, make offers for what works for you, not what works for them. The more money you save is another dollar in your pocket. I do have a follow-up, and we're going to wrap this up soon, but I'm just very interested in your topic. No, it's because this is buy and hold. A lot of the times when I buy something, I'll usually use private money to buy it, and then I'll fix it up to get it to its value, and then I'll refinance it into a longer-term mortgage. Is that refinancing into a longer-term mortgage on a mobile home, is that difficult to do if it's a mobile home?
As long as it comes with the land. So long as it's affixed to land, because once it's affixed to land, it's considered real estate, right? So it's no longer a motor vehicle. It has to be affixed to the land. And once, pretty much meaning that it's tied down, it's not going nowhere. Or you see more modular where they'll put the concrete around it, place the home on it. Either one of those, yes, you can do the same process. You can get a longer mortgage with the refi. You can do that strategy as well with manufactured homes.
That's amazing. You're helping people get better returns because I'm getting the same rent for less money. I'm about to go get me a mobile home.
Yes, let's go.
And if people want to find out more information about you or what you do, how can people contact you or reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So on all socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, we're at Mobile Home Elite Investors. You type that in, you can find us. Even YouTube, we got a lot of information on YouTube. Same thing at Mobile Home Elite Investors. If you type in, search Mobile Home Elite Investors, it's hundreds of videos just talking about the topic. So either one of those, again, you can contact me Instagram, you can direct message me, have questions and things like that. If you want to know how you can work with us, invest with us, we have those options as well.
Okay, that's amazing. So we're about to wrap this podcast up, but we don't want to end without letting you know what we do as well. So as I mentioned earlier, I am a buy and hold coach, and I have a one-on-one coaching program where I show you exactly how to find the properties, how to make them cash flow so you can build financial freedom and use other people's money to do it. If you want to find out more information about that, please feel free to go to my totally free Facebook community. It's called The Freedom Inc. The link will be in the show notes if you want to just click on the link. But join, we show you tips and tricks, and it's all buy and hold. So if you come in and you talk about wholesaling, we're going to bash you unless you sell it to us.
Awesome. I'm Lori Eubanks. I'm also a buy and hold believer. I've been investing since 2012, a deal maker. I flip, renovate. We're doing it all. We work with a lot of individuals with private money. So if you have lazy money and you'd like to invest and jump in, just email me, and you can find me on all the socials, and hope to talk to you soon.
I want to say thanks again, Byron, for being on the podcast. We really appreciate you giving all the listeners these great nuggets, and not just sharing nuggets, but also giving people actionable steps that they can turn off this podcast and go out and make some money. Because this is the Do It Movement podcast. If you're just listening and not taking action, this isn't the podcast for you. You can hit unsubscribe because we want you to start taking action, make some money, change the trajectory, you and your family. So thanks, Byron. We truly appreciate you being on. But until next time, Do It Movement listeners, see ya. All done, I think. It says it's stopping. He'll cut this out.
Thank you, Byron. That was really awesome. And I mean, really, there's that stigma on mobile home parks. I mean, really, I know I'm guilty of it. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to get into that. You hear about it, but people, I mean, they're thriving. The investors I know that have been buying into mobile home parks, I'm sure pricing's different today, but I mean, it's paying off.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, it's still pretty good right now. Like, we moved down here, so we started to learn the market. So the Florida market is pretty different than what we were. It's like Illinois was easy, right? Very easy, but down here you need more licensing. I mean, it goes a longer way. More rules, more stricter rules down here. So for us, we like, all right, let's just wholesale for a little bit. We've been able to wholesale some deals. And then right now we kind of I got a few projects. I actually had a project I went to go check on. I was blessed that it didn't flood because we got, out here is like a lot of areas got flooded pretty bad from the hurricane. So, that's my first fix and flip project since we've been down here. Like when I tell you, I was struggling to find deals out here. Like it was deals, but I was getting outbidded. It was just, they move fast on them out here. So, I see a lot of people see the value down here in Florida. On a lot of investors do. So that's why I encourage people in other markets, like take full advantage of it. Because again, if if you're just looking to build your portfolio off rentals, yeah, manufactured homes are on land. And because are y'all in South Carolina, North Carolina? Virginia. I'm sorry. So you're in Virginia. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a lot of deals, especially North Carolina, Virginia, that you'll be surprised that even, like I say, if you compare the prices, you're like, wow. And a lot of times the sellers will even be like, wow, you'll buy this? They'll be surprised. Like, you're making me an offer on this, because they don't really know the value of it. And so that's why a lot of times you'll get renters in there so fast, because you'll be surprised how many people are looking for affordable housing. But again, you can get market rent because just, again, you take the same touches. I tell people with a mobile home, if you pick a double wide and all you do is put a standalone tub and put an accent wall. Yeah.
And we like a discount.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So.
It's a good discount. As long as the bones are strong, or anything, $19.99 and up, like start getting to but here's the thing. We can like the 70s, if it ain't 1976 or older. But yeah, honestly, like long as the structure is still good, all the plumbing is above ground. That's the good thing. So, no basement.
That's huge. I'm done with these basements.
Thank you for tuning into our show. If you need more handholding on your rental property investor journey, book a 15-minute strategy session with Martine. We can see if you're a fit for the Freedom Inc. fam, link in the show notes. Also be sure to join the free Freedom Inc. Facebook group, where each week Martine goes over a real-life rental property investor deal and shows you how the deal was found, how to get the money, and how to make it cash flow, and much more. If you'd like to connect with Lori, be sure to email her at vitalizeproperties@live.com. Until next time, see ya.